Welcome on stage, Rob Barker!
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you to Jojo for explaining to people why in the front row why I smell a little bit of sewage. Because I'm a physicist. So as Jojo said, I'm Dr. Rob Barker. I'm a lecturer here at the University of Dundee. I lecture in physics, as we've covered. My research is in biophysics, so using physics to study biology in various different forms and looking at that. I've been here since January of last year. Before that I spent 5 years out in France, learning to ski, doing some photography, doing some research. And before that, I used to work for ISIS. Turns out it's the worst possible opening line to your Tinder profile. It doesn't matter how many times people just can't seem to move past it. They think that I want them to swipe right on to join the caliphate or something else. There's nothing else that can be helped, and you can't move past it. Now, of course, the ISIS I'm talking about isn't the Islamic State, but in fact, a neutron research institute based in Oxfordshire, which is used for bouncing neutrons off surfaces, studying it in various beautiful ways. But no one understands that when they look at my Tinder profile. All they see is the Islamic State, and that's apparently what I want them to join. So they don't see my beautiful tasting shirts. They don't see the fact that I support West Ham. And in fact, on that point of West Ham, I think we should stop and pay a small amount of respect to the football club West Ham for naming themselves after the two things in the world that ISIS hates the most. But they don't see any of that, unfortunately. All they see is the Islamic State. So that's my first problem in life. I mean, it's a problem that I've struggled with a lot, to the point that actually my show was called Living with ISIS. Because this is something I live with every day. And even when I sent my name at my show to John, the organiser of this tonight, he said, he was concerned that having a title, Living with ISIS, in some way you were going to think that I was here for a recruitment drive. The Dundee leg of ISIS in some way. They were concerned. So is there anyone in for that? That's next door, I'm sorry. But in case you're concerned in any way, I made sure for all of you, and it's not that ISIS. What I'm talking about. So anyway, that's the first problem that I have with working at ISIS. The second problem, as I just mentioned, is the fact that it's a neutron research institute. Do people know what neutrons are? Does anyone here know what a neutron is? For those who are uninitiated, it's the Switzerland of subatomic particles. It's neutral with great fondue. But beyond that, it's also, the problem we have with neutrons is when you talk about that, you start thinking about it, you start thinking about nuclear. The minute you start thinking about nuclear, people immediately go to atomic bombs. They immediately think of nuclear power. They immediately think of Fukushima, of Chernobyl, of all of these massive nuclear disasters. So I've got a problem here. I've got ISIS, I've got nuclear disaster, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with these things. Now, nuclear is a problem that we struggle with a lot. It's famously something that, there's a story that goes that the reason people have heard of magnetic resonance imaging. This is a thing that people use all the time for looking inside, using large magnetic fields to look inside of your bodies. Fantastic thing. Scientists know that as something completely different. They know it as NMR, which is nuclear magnetic resonance. So not magnetic resonance imaging, they use nuclear magnetic resonance, NMR, as their thing. And the story goes that people were so terrified of using something with nuclear in it, so NMR they were too terrified to go to a hospital to have something nuclear, that it was changed to magnetic resonance imaging instead. But I've got an alternate theory for you on this. Imagine you're in the doctor and you come in, you're feeling a little bit ill, and the doctor checks you out. And the doctor turns to you and he says, "So, I'm afraid I'm going to have to send you to the hospital for an enema." It's not going to look good, is it? So that's my theory as to why MRI is stuck up. So we've got two problems here. We've got the fact that I work in nuclear research, nuclear death, enemas, whatever. And the other end of the scale, we've got ISIS, caliphate, joining all of that. So those are two problems I have, which manifest themselves probably bigger than anywhere else. They manifest themselves at customs, at airports. People struggle to understand that. You have those 3 minutes when you try that I've learned now. You try and get past a customs officer without mentioning any of these key words that's going to terrify them, essentially it's jail. So this manifested, this is something I've learned now, but I've learned this very much during one particular conversation I had with a customs officer about 3 years ago, flying into the US for a conference. And the customs officer said to me, because I'd written all of these things on my customs form, he said to me, "So, Dr. Barker, how much nuclear material were you last in contact with?" So now there are three problems with it, other than my terrible accent. There are three problems with it. The first obvious one is clearly he can't pronounce my name. Now this is a problem that I have a lot. This is a problem that exists for me a lot, particularly speaking to people in the US, because of the fact they don't understand my name. I say, "Hi, my name is Rob." They're like, "Rob? Your name's Rob?" They don't understand. They think that a short O for them is something that they don't really understand, and they can't get it, pick it up anyway. So it's all right. I found a solution to that. Instead of introducing me as Rob, my name's Rob. And they're like, "Oh, Rob! Hi, nice to meet you." That's great. So that's the first problem. That's solved. That's fine. Second problem we picked up here is he asked me how much nuclear material have I been in contact with. Now this is an issue because of the fact that it's not the amount of nuclear material that matters, it's what you do with it, or what it does to you that counts, more than anything. So, and we struggle to quantify that. It's about how much radiation something's giving out and all those things. So we as scientists use other forms to try and explain this to people. We try and put it in other ways and other ways of understanding. For example, carrots. We talk about it in carrots. Those of you in the front row who were wondering, that was a carrot. We use carrots, or we use potatoes. To explain this, 2 potatoes, a carrot. Can someone hold this for me? Take my 2.
I will hold your carrot.
And my 2 potatoes. Look after them. Thank you. You weren't expecting to get a stew when you came along to my curry. My comedy curry this evening. We use these as another way of explaining to things, because in fact these also contain a small amount of variation. They give off a small amount because of the fact the minerals they have in them, for the fact that they have certain things in them that are radioactive. So we explain everything in terms of that, and that makes everything easier. So it's about this time that the customs agent looked at me like he was about to kill me. But I thought, that's all right, I'll keep on going. There was a third problem, and there are 3 problems here. The third problem with the customs agent's question was that he asked me, he used my title, a doctor. I told him he was a doctor, which is a terrible problem. It's a problem for a number of reasons. It's a problem on planes, because imagine the call goes out over the thing and someone says, "Is there a doctor in the plane?" You turn up, and then you have to explain to them that it's going to take 6 months to bounce the neutrons off the person who's giving pregnant in order to find out what's going on. And maybe if they gave me some more funding, I'd be able to do that. And, then find out, and they might have a boy and a girl, I don't know. But that's the first one. That's the first problem. With it being a doctor. But there's another example I give of this, and that's something I've learned now particularly, is I had... about 2 years ago, I was on a train from going from London up to Edinburgh, and this weird, wonderful old woman got on the train next to me. She got on and started talking to me about life, the universe, everything. It was the most amazing conversation. She was so in depth. Talked about everything, what life was like when I was her age, when she was my age, when I was her age. That's a whole different story. That's not my kind of physics. But we started talking about all of these things, and then we got quite deep. We talked about her dead husband. It was getting quite dark and a little bit like that. She started talking about how you need to listen to your body, you need to think about your body, you need to listen to your body. And she said, "You need to listen to your body, Rob. When you get to my age, you need to think about things." And I was in the shower the other day, Rob. I tell you, I was in the shower the other day, and I can tell you this, Rob, because you know, you're a doctor. You understand these things. You like these things. I was in the shower the other day, and I looked down, and my nipple was washing down the drain. And that was when I learned never to put doctor in it. So that's about it for me. I want to leave you with a thought that I have at the end of it, and thank you very much. Just eaten part of my carrot there. At least my potatoes are safe. Thank you very much. It's all right, you can get the carrot. I'm going to leave you with a final thought. A thought that comes to me when I'm working at ISIS and thinking about doing some nuclear research. Friends are like potatoes. When you eat them, they die. That's it. Thank you very much.